One of the most talented singers in the jazz scene right now, Nicole Henry. Welcome to DC Live Music, Nicole.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here with you.
One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing.
When you see Nicole on stage, you can immediately see her great stage presence and charisma that immediately captivates the audience. So could you talk to us about what musical influences have helped shape your style as a vocalist?
I would say outside, well, thank you first for the compliment. And outside of jazz, because I really hadn't started listening to standard jazz music until 2001. So, of course, growing up, I grew up in Philadelphia, and my parents were from Ohio and from Tennessee, but of course they were growing up in the 60s. So we listened to a lot of their music. We listened to the Commodores, we listened to the Spinners, we listened to Aretha Franklin, we listened to Patti LaBelle. And then there was some fusion jazz starting then, but I didn't really know what that was. My dad just liked that one, but we'd be dancing around the house to mostly the Commodores, and I would see in concert actually Patti LaBelle because my aunt sang backup for Patti LaBelle. Ooh. So I had an opportunity to really see stage presence and see a show and see entertainment. So I think that, and my aunt being a singer, who's still my favorite voice, one of my favorite voices of today, seeing her and hearing her perform, those are my influences.
What's her name?
Her name is Debbie Henry.
Until then, nothing's going to harm you.
So when and how do you start performing professionally?
It was in college in 2000 when I was performing actually dance music. I was working at a nightclub in Miami Beach where I went to school at the University of Miami, and was working in a nightclub and met DJs from time to time, and somehow people just found out that I sang. I don't know for what reasons. I was singing the national anthem sometimes at the Miami Heat games in Miami, even in college. And so someone knew a DJ that was looking for a musician or a singer. I sang for him. He said, come record some music. I said, sure. He said, I'm going to put shows together, which you never really know if people are going to really put anything together. And he did. We recorded some songs. One of them actually got to the Billboard dance music charts. So it was really fun. I mean, I was so nervous with those days. I mean, for the first 4 years of performing, I was so nervous. Not so much to do it, but I would notice it afterwards because I'd be like, internally like so hot and sweating and just, but it was such a beautiful challenge to entertain and to be so nervous to speak to people from stage that it was like the first time in life that I felt I was really challenged to do something.
Someday, my happy arms will hold you, and someday I'll know that moment divine when all the things you are mine.
You have 2 albums, The Nearness of You and The Very Thought of You.
Yes.
Both were widely received, especially in Japan,
Yeah.
where they both topped the HMV Japan Jazz charts.
Yes.
Do you get it? Do you actually go to Japan? Do you tour Japan?
I've been there, fortunately, 8 times or 9 times on tour.
Wow. So, were there any major differences between touring Japan than touring the U.S.?
The major difference for me was that the audience, you never really know if the audience was understanding your dialogue between songs. And then the other difference was that the audience was completely tuned in to the stage and tuned into the music and was familiar with most of the songs and was singing along with them. So I think in Japan, the Japanese jazz audience is really dedicated to the genre.
Did you say I've got a lot to learn? Well, don't think I'm trying not to learn, since this is the perfect spot to learn. Come teach me tonight.
What advice could you give to new performers who are starting out in the music industry and trying to get noticed?
I would say make sure that you have music that you love and that you really connect to, because you're going to have to tell those stories over and over again, night after night, to your audience, and you have to look like you believe those stories. You have to believe them, because then it's like you're not having as much fun. So I would say go out and watch as many live music performers that you can. Go watch their show, watch how they segue between songs, how they introduce songs, how the band works with them, and you learn dynamics between band members, between the whether it be the front person in the band, just learning those things, and ask as many questions as you can to performers. Try to befriend performers, and just whatever comes to mind, just ask and ask and ask, because you're never going to get what you want in life in general unless you ask. So I think that's but do your homework, study. I mean, now with YouTube you can see so many performances, and so I think that's a big thing. But to start, you just have to believe your music and find joy in singing those songs.
A stick, a stone, it's the end of the road, it's the rest of the stump, it's a little alone, it's a sliver of glass.
What happened with your cello?
Oh, I love cello.
Tell us a little bit about the cello.
That's a great question. I used to play cello from 6th grade until 11th grade. So about 6 years I played cello, and I love cello. I think that people say that the cello is one of the instruments closest to the human body and the human sound, and it's a physically, the cello, when you sit and play cello, you're wrapped around this cello, so it really is you feel the music in a different way, I think. But I love cello. I love classical music. My mother played piano when I was growing up, so we were always listening to Tchaikovsky and just on and on, all kinds of classical music, Chopin, everything, in the mornings, and then we'd segue into the Commodores, into Spanish stuff. But my mom made sure that my sister and I played an instrument, so we had to pick one, and that was my favorite.
So won't you fly me to the moon and let me play amongst the stars? I just want to see what spring is like on Jupiter, on Mars.
Nicole has also a background as an actress. So, what are the similarities and difference between being a front woman in a band and acting in a lead role?
Well, I think there's a huge correlation between acting and being on stage. Obviously. So even if you're a singer or an artist or a musician, I think acting just definitely helps support the responsibility of entertaining people. So I think, and then you really get inside. Acting helps you get inside of a role, of a character, and I think that same thing happens, at least for me, when you get inside of a song. You're telling that story from a perspective that day, and the same way an actor throughout a role or throughout a movie on a different day has a different response to life. I think same thing happens on stage. You might sing a song differently that day, but honestly that day compared to another day when you sing a song and it means something else to you. So I think acting and interpretation, or interpreting lyrics, or interpreting a script is pretty one and the same. Maybe you don't have to have a voice though to be an actress.
That lights the stars, the dearest things I know are what you are.
Talking about the voice, how do you take care of your voice?
Vodka? No, I'm kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I take care of my voice steaming my voice with inhaling steam, or going to the gym and inhaling. I think also, like the body, you have to stay in shape. For me, that's important, because when I jog, I love the flow of energy. It just gets me going. So sometimes I'll do yoga stretches in my dressing room before I perform. But then vocally warming up for every gig, hopefully.
There's nothing going to harm you with your mommy and your daddy standing by. Oh no, because it's summertime.
What is the most unusual thing that has happened to you on stage? Come on, there have to be something that you can share with us.
Okay, I'll say in the last year. Well, one fight, you never. one important thing is to play with the audience. Yes. And funny, I would see this happen at Patti LaBelle concerts. But so very often you have a rapport with the audience and you communicate. Sometimes you'll pick one person who happens to be the most interactive, or at least somewhat interactive, and then sometimes that person likes to get carried away, and they just start trying to take like their part of the show more of the show than you really want them to be. So that's always entertaining, and then to a point where somebody almost had to get like carried out of the audience one time. So that was tough. And then you have to decide how much you want to get into like acknowledging what is really going on. Then the other thing is one time I was on stage singing, and I usually wear heels. I was on stage singing and my heel got stuck in like one of the creases. You know how sometimes they put stages together and they have little, yes. My heel got stuck in the stage. So and fortunately it was an up-tempo song because I was moving around a little bit. So my heel stuck in the stage and I'm trying to move, and so it just wouldn't get out. So I literally and fortunately my dress was long. So I left the shoe there and just kept walking around. And then at one point it waited to a piano solo. So I went back to the same spot, put my shoe, and I was just like kind of watching the piano solo, wriggling my foot out.
That's funny.
So that was funny. And it was good. It was good because my drummer didn't even know. I didn't even see it. I didn't notice it was out.
1,000,000 times across the sky, but one thing's not clear, my love. Should the teacher stand? Should you stand so near, my love?
Do you have any new projects in the horizon?
Yes, right now I'm actually working on a new project that will include jazz, but also like a segue out of jazz, a little more contemporary, some more original music. So it's been a fun year, a challenging year though, but exciting to write more songs, to look for more original music from all around the country. Even in Europe, I've gotten some writers in London and done some co-writing in Toronto. So just looking for new music, working out new music on stage, and that's been really exciting. So, and it's a challenge though. That's why you have to love what you sing or what you're performing, and find something that you believe in. Hi, this is Nicole Henry. You're tuned into DCLiveMusic.com. See you next time.
That moment divine when all the things you are